Just keep your cool. Hey, I am Chuck the Bureaucrat, and I just finished clearing post for the very last time. And I want to share some observations with you guys. The big thing is, get your head in the right place. You're going to be wandering around post with a checklist, having some bizarre but totally normal Army experiences. So the best thing to do is to use some of that resilience that you've built up over the last 20 or 30 years. You're probably going to get frustrated, and there's no point in being surprised by that. First of all, these checklists. Do not be surprised if your checklist doesn't look like the checklist that other people have. Basically, the office that gives you the checklist has 5 clerks who've been teleworking for the last 2 years, and each of them has a different version of the checklist saved to their computer. So when it's time for someone to give you the checklist, it's like checklist roulette. You just spin the wheel. I mean, you'll probably get one that's okay. Second, the names and locations of some of the offices have changed. So anticipate that you're going to spend some time wandering around trying to find the right person or place. And that's probably when someone's going to say, "Oh, you've got the wrong checklist." Next, you're probably going to bump into more than one office that wants to be the last to sign the checklist. Nope. The last office is the office that gave you the checklist in the first place. Now, an important thing to keep in mind is that most of the stops you're making are to check to see if you have a debt to the Army. You go to the library, they're checking to see if you have any fines. You go to Army Emergency Relief, see if you have any outstanding loans. So most of this is easy. I mean, if you have to pay a bill, that's as simple as writing a check. Where you run into trouble is when it is something that is not about money. The one that can get you is law enforcement. And it's not because you might have a warrant out for your arrest. The provost marshal people that I talked to said that usually when a service member runs into difficulty, it's because there was an investigation that was done several years ago. But the investigation didn't get closed administratively in the system, and so you find yourself scrambling around trying to find the right people to close that thing. I would recommend talking to law enforcement early. You might even do it before you get your retirement orders. One last thought for you guys who are going to be retiring out of the Pentagon. You may have showed up with a bunch of stuff from your previous assignments, like rucksacks and sleeping bags and stuff like that. Unless you seriously expect to be using it again, you're better off without it. I mean, the only thing that can happen is you'll lose it or damage it while it's sitting in a closet. So schedule an appointment to get rid of it. It gets it off your hand receipt, back into the Army's inventory, and if there is something missing, it gives you some time to figure out where it might be. Your clearing process will go faster if you plan for some frustration and then deal with some things that could delay you earlier rather than waiting to the last minute. Now, if you want to avoid the biggest retirement mistake that people make, watch this video.